Alright, let's continue our mass recruitment and cycle of vengeance, because like I said, this region being endgame territory technically in terms of levels means that there's a lot more to do before we can actually
Whatever
put a
else
dent in the
happens in
fortress.
this war, this archway is not falling to the enemy. You can bet.
Yes, sir. We shall defend this pile of bricks with our lives.
Basically.
It's a very important stronghold.
But we must take that point. Get in there, you maggots.
Alright, thankfully this time there is no ambush, and again, this Olog-Ai in particular doesn't particularly strike me much in terms of design, but you know, like if I recall correctly, I forgot if I recruited him properly or not, but it's one of those cases of, you know, needing more quantity in terms of captain. On a strategic level, recruiting, you know, mass recruiting the captains of a region also makes sure that you don't really get ambushed that much by them and you have genuine just control over it. So even if you don't, you know, plan on using them properly, it's more of a case to make things more quiet as you normally go through side activities potentially. The sequel will introduce the stuff like the curveballs, like the betrayals, so you know it doesn't, you know, make you rest too much on your laurels. While in the previous game, like I did mention, you can literally just mass recruit everyone in the region, and at that point you're basically, you know, can relax.
See.
Yeah, I don't think I'm recruiting this guy.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, he comes up to me as a bit of a knob anyway, so... One of wanting it anyway.
Don't worry, I'm just clipping from his body.
It happens.
Next one. Okay, this guy actually has a dwarf helmet. I don't know how he got that, but...
No teasing the categories.
Maybe he made it.
No, usually those are stolen loot. Even the shield, I think, is of dwarven quality.
Especially the category.
It's more aesthetic than anything, but it's more of a case for me to decide if I actually want a captain between these two.
Sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Let me get the one on the bed was on the mount.
Shame you can't kick the enemy into the
The mooks I can, the captains unfortunately no. Like I said, I think in one of the previous parts it probably would have been, you know, more fun to do it, but oh.
Go ahead. I'll smash them all to pieces.
I get the idea they did it for a, you know, logistical balancing kind of thing, in order for you, if you actually have your eyes on a captain, you know, you don't want to potentially, you know, waste that by accidentally pull him into lava. There are already plenty of potential accidents that you can cause and accidentally kill a captain you wanted to recruit in the game, so, you know, you wanted to minimize that.
Yeah, you know, given that this is running off of the logic of... I don't want to say full-on Mon collector, but, you know, you definitely want to form your own collection of sorts. I get how it can really suck if the bounty that you've been hunting and wanting to either, you know, do this or that to kind of just anticlimactically falls over into the lava.
So this,
I mean, unless you actually want to do it deliberately, that would have been fun, like we've said.
I think the best compromise would have been to, like, have a little reaction commander prompt for if you want to do that sort of execution.
A Pokemon version of Lord of the Rings.
Hold on. That looks like you... That looks like you broke his staff, only for his staff to reform.
He has plenty of... You have seen it on this model, he has basically a supply of javelins that he can throw and use as an actual weapon, properly in CQC.
I see.
Now on to the other guy.
Now, lately, you know those insults that the enemy throws at you sometimes before you begin battle with them? I'm surprised none of them have done the Lord of the Rings equivalent of your mama or something.
Again, the closest we get here is them replacing the war sheet with Shrek and going along with that. It's it's more of a thing that also the developers took advantage of just for funsies, and even the marketing was heavy on that, to the point where the fans maybe initially were a bit, you know, not super eager to join in on the fun, but they spammed it so much that they eventually were like, yeah, sure, why not?
Retreating, eh?
No.
I swear my allegiance.
Again, he has a cool helmet, so let's make him infiltrate.
I'll stay
I was gonna run away!
You have a cool helmet. You can join our army.
Again, sometimes you can be just like that, petty like that.
Honestly, yeah, I would totally. I totally get that mentality. Sometimes I go for what's considered the weakest Pokemon just because they look the coolest.
I mean, for me, it's the entire reason why I always have a Crobat in my teams. It might not be the most, you know, super powerful mon that there is, but, you know, cool design and interesting typing, so why not?
That it is.
Anyway, the guy with the cobwebs have been attacked by these guys, so essentially I went to defend him. Yes, Liz?
Nah, I forgot. It's not that important.
Okay then. Yeah, for example, this guy is a rather, you know, a bit generic kind of design, so I'm not particularly interested in him.
I remember that.
Oh.
I love how that guy was basically mocking him by saying, "Oh no, so the big and scary," and he just runs away.
That's the
Like,
entire
wait.
idea, Dwaves. This type of mission function like this. The orc that mocks the other is supposed to lead him in his cohort into a trap, because the captain that's actually mocking, you know, has a contingency waiting to prepare an ambush, you know. Usually that cannot potentially work if a third captain actually does a proper ambush of their own, thus, you know, trapping the guy that was mocking the first captain in between two fires. It can happen very frequently. Again, it's all about politics and manipulation.
I know it's a ghost blade, but it kind of looks funny how they make it phase through the guy at times.
Again, it's also for saving, you know, performance and everything. I get it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've seen goofier things. It's fine.
Again, it also shows that these developers probably still have been trained by stuff like the source engine and the type of ragdolls that he can have.
What's crib with the spiders versus the
Blue Ball. You will see his name soon enough.
I know I don't say this often, but I've been real proud of you boys. You kill soft skins good.
You're clipping a bit, dude.
That might be the nicest orc we've ever heard.
They have no clue of the fun we're about to have with them. So,
Oh boy.
I always knew you were lazy, Pushcreen.
This is another one of those necromancer types.
I'm sure.
I didn't betray you. I was
Hey,
hypnotized.
I'm sure one of those necromancer types could be great pickings for our side.
Unfortunately, these guys are a bit too powerful, so these guys are more dangerous than anything, so I might as well just get deal with him, but easier said than done. Especially because this guy also has the trait that trains a bunch of subordinates that are close to themselves.
I've been trained.
Oh, we've met before.
We might. It's literally a you know, Jova, how sometimes the villain does get the "for me it was a Tuesday" monologue from M. Bison and says, "I killed so many people I cannot remember all their faces." Yeah, it's kind of like that.
But for us, the heroes.
Maybe it puts in perspective.
Yay.
And yeah, this guy is actually relatively powerful.
Oh,
Again,
right,
being
you can
a
revive
type,
him,
he can also-
Sayeth.
Not himself, but the dead's nearby.
So, I can only imagine how great it would be to have necromancers on your side.
I never actually particularly tried for myself to see if I could recruit one, but I do wonder if they possess the Iron Will trait, you know, specifically so you cannot rely on them like that.
That would be something if they're like the one type you can't. Which would be kind of ironic, like you've got these gigantic, incredibly strong Oryx, but the ones that you can never recruit are kind of the lanky, skinny
Also, another
necromancers.
guy joined in the meantime, by the way.
Oh, what? And he
Just-
didn't
just
have an
without an
intro to
intro.
give himself.
No. So as you can imagine, things are not exactly on the up and up for me. Or at least he's retreating.
Wait, but hang on, you're winning. Why are you leaving?
Sometimes with battle panic sets in. But I think I can get him.
It's like
There
if you're
we
playing
go.
football, you're
Got
6-0 up, and you get so many players sent off, you have to forfeit the game.
Oh, I guess
Purify.
it is a kind of a condition.
Purify.
Oh no! Here we go.
Whatever magics you used when you took my head will not allow me
Oh.
Yep, remember the guy that broke my sword and I decapitated him? He survived
He's
that.
back.
And he's
Also,
legendary to boot, so if it was dangerous before, now it's even worse. Also, this fight is seriously snowballing in for the worst.
I'll
I need to
say-
actually get some results.
also, was his title the Snitch or the Stitch?
The Stitch,
Stitch.
because, you know, he's has been stitched.
You know, it'd be like if it'd be like if those endings were instead of in Return of the King. It'd be like if the endings instead of us finding out what the Fellowship and that had gotten up to since the end of the final battle. It'd be like if it started that way, but then darkness creeps in and each one fades in and fades out and then fades into the situation getting worse.
Oh, the mission's
Until the end where
completed.
Sauron returns and kills everyone and blasts maniacally.
At least I killed it because I killed the guy that that I came here to originally to get.
Shame
All right,
about.
let's see if I can actually deal with this guy at least. Fuck no.
Teleported.
It's more of a cheap trick.
Oh, now he's mad.
Which means I cannot even get against Jesus. Yeah, I think with this I'm actually exhausted all of my second chances, so I need to be careful.
And now you're cursed.
The curse, like I said, is more of a similar to a poison status of anything. There you go. Thankfully, you can just literally convert someone to regain a bit of health. But like I said, this is your main way of healing in combat. You have to make sure, however, that you cannot be interrupted.
It looked like he just spat at them.
There you go. One of the orcs that I converted has managed to kill him.
Ha!
Hopefully.
Wow. There you go. You're so low you got killed by one of our mooks. That's some humiliation. But wait, where's the Stitch?
It's behind there. I was actually contemplating if it was the case for me to go to him or not. But remember, I have no more second chances, so I'm
Live
not
to
in
fight
It'd be
another
like
day.
it'd be like if Darth Vader was just killed by a random rebel soldier during that scene in Rogue One.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, he could have been on that Star Destroyer that gets, impacted with the other, on the deflector shield of the planet.
Yeah, yeah. We'll lower the security. That'd be something. They're trying to lower the deflector shield to let Darth Vader's shuttle into the Death Star, but someone presses the wrong button or forgets what to do, and they just crash into it.
Alright, let's see if I can make it.
I'm surprised no one's done that yet.
I didn't mention this. Normally with the Olog-Ais, you're supposed to just dodge their attacks with X and slide under their legs. But if the circle button prompt appears, you can actually properly stun them and actually freeze them. It doesn't work for everyone, but it's your one chance to actually try. There's also a special particular combination that allows you to actually mount on top of one of them and actually drive them a bit. It's kind of a bit like the Cyclops in the later God of War games, or the Olympus Saga. But it's very hard, at least for me, it's relatively hard to actually perform it. So.
Death is nothing to me.
That's like the third time you've tried that move.
They actually acknowledge if you keep spamming doing that. And yeah, it's also arrow-proof.
But are you bulletproof?
Remember, I
They
need
don't
to
have
essentially
guns.
tap my ways in because again I have no more second chances and I don't want to raise this guy to become even more powerful than he already is.
So what's like the ultimate cap for how strong guys can get off of
I don't know.
beating you?
I actually never tried. The max that I got for this run was like 62, I think. And that really depends also in relation to your level. Alright, we're almost there.
But you're running a bit low on health, it seems.
Oh, shall we
Well,
make
again,
him?
I don't really have a chance now, so my strategy is let's try to shame him too, so he can also get lower on level, and let's see also if he's that change before that, because yes, even orcs that have Olog-Ais that have cheated death, even in this legendary kind of way, can still be shamed, and that will be acknowledged. It's again, the meta narrative is that they achieved their ultimate victory, but it's almost moot for what they want to do. The whole shame mechanic has an entire layer of tragedy onto it, but we haven't seen what the worst it can do. Thankfully, these guys seem to not give a shit when I shame him.
would come back. I know what it is to be undying. I know the pain. And I'll
Oh,
Also,
he is
yes,
crazy.
Yeah, well, no, Jova, trust me. You haven't seen yet an orc that becomes crazy.
Really?
Yes, trust me, we haven't. Again, and there's also an entire reason why I haven't shown it yet. You can get it you can get a demonstration relatively on, but again, there's a reason that I will explain, when it becomes relevant in a few parts, or not that far off anyway. I just basically also decided to give a priority mostly to the conquering of the fortresses. Especially because, you can play the game relatively in the way that you prefer. And as a result, potentially again, your conquering the fortress can be intertwined with the quest lines that you already, are doing, like the one of the Nazgûls, the one of the Spirit of Karnan, and even the ones that you haven't started yet about, Bruce and Ratback,
Now that he's in the green, I wonder if that'll make him more,
The green is just to symbolize that his level has been going down. The important part is the number, in this case 31. Besides, again, considering what the shit that this guy made me go through, there's a bit still of a catharsis.
You've chained him
he
so
just
much.
jumped down when you came up.
Yes, sir.
You've shamed him so much, his children will be born miserable.
Again, the orcs reproduce mostly via bat, but...
there are things other than killing you that require my attention.
I'm
Excuse me?
flattered.
So what, is that your way of saying, nah man, I'm busy, come back another day?
You're
Leave me alone,
you're
I'm
not
busy,
worth
yes.
You're not worth it.
And yeah, unfortunately, these guys, the important combination of two, white caragors, which are more powerful than normal caragors, surrounding him, and the fact that he can insta-kill beasts. So even if I convert the caragors, he will still kill them immediately. So...
The way he grunts sometimes, he sounds like Arnie. Someone doing an Arnie impression.
So, you grant me immortality by taking my head, and now you seek to undo it?
My dude, normally we're not seeking to give someone eternity when we cut off their head.
Just he's about to die anyway, Joel. Let's just tell him that. And hopefully, this will stick better.
you decapitated him again. That is poetry.
Just to be sure. And
Oh, wait,
thankfully, I can tell you that this actually is stuck. He hasn't come back.
I guess it's
Well,
because
I mean,
you cast
his
his
skull
head
probably
into
fell
the
into the
lava.
lava.
It would have been hilarious if it still came back with the head.
So,
stitched
hang
together.
on. Yeah, but
Wait,
that
wait,
would make his head more powerful than the One Ring.
I was about to say, like, shoot, who needs the One Ring? This Oryx's head can withstand even the very flames that forged it.
All right, let's have my cobweb guy try to infiltrate the fortress. He's also legendary rank, so I have a good feeling about this.
And he's apparently fighting Batman.
No, it's another guy with the Hellraiser like armor.
Wait to see inside you.
Oh
Yeah.
my. Phrasing on that
Oh, it's
one.
another one of those guys that clones himself.
This is a one-on-one fight, you know. This is against the rules.
No, trust me. If an orc has a cohort as part of his, his abilities in the arena, they're perfectly allowed to actually have that. The major rule is that they cannot summon extra unit, which is something that they normally would do in the main map.
So basically, my party is all part of my power, therefore it's legal.
Basically, you can get into the arena with any number of unity that you want, but you have to stick with that. Unfortunately, this guy being a defender, yes, we also have stink bombs. Unfortunately, this guy being a defender means that, again, his entire style is about being as obnoxious and stalling as possible.
I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity that they don't let you actually control your orc in these battles.
That's the entire gimmick of the arena. You have to rely on your instincts, hoping that the orc that you chose for the fight is good enough. And again, you have some degree of control into seeing what orc they're actually gonna face. So if you think they don't have much of a chance, you do have a possibility of potentially pull out. There are a lot of arena fights that you're not seeing right now, that I just did, that have been countless about, getting in and out. But anyway, my guy did it.
Oh, well done. So do you have a particular favorite orc in your playthrough?
As much as it sounds a bit of obnoxious, one with the bard, we will encounter another one later, you will see.
Wow, I love it. I mean, look, honestly, the fact that they made a bard actually threatening in this game is an achievement.
It's more teetering on that thing that I mentioned during the Resurrection Murder DLC about, the humor, the tone that it's used. For the most part in the vanilla campaign is fine. The DLCs, I argue, not so much. Sometimes it gives a bit too much on the comment. And yes, this guy still alive, but he doesn't even tell me that he cheated death.
Mordor's a dangerous place.
You saw that he was killed by one of my subordinates, but yet here he is.
Maybe he's like, oh, well, I was killed by one of your mooks, so it doesn't count.
Well, you can
No, it's because, again, he's a necromancer, so they have a bit of a tendency of, cheating death.
Oh, this guy again.
Yeah, remember, I converted him, so I actually put him to a good use to, crash the party, so I can try to get revenge on this guy, because I noticed from the captain map that he was there.
Nice.
I think he's also about to give me a particular intro.
Step 1, get the turret's
Wait.
attention. Step 2, confuse him with multiple targets.
Oh.
Step 3, once you outnumber him, attack.
You.
I mean, I'm convinced, I guess.
Okay, I'll give him credit. That's actually a legit nice surprise that he has multiple copies of himself.
Like I said, that's the entire gimmick. The trope Drova actually 4 books in one or something, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, also you're here too.
Human, and you're not gonna stop me.
Sorry, I'm busy with something. I'll get to you back later.
Why
It's more of a
someone did
case-
just do that?
It's more of a case where the main captain is the one that you need to focus your attention on. The other 3 or 4 that they are basically just regular book. It is evidenced by their health, which is much less, that they basically have the same power on him on paper, in a sense that they are powerful, but they're much more fragile. So if you want, you can take them out in a much more easy way, or you can just completely ignore them and actually go for the captain, like I'm doing right now.
I'm surprised Sauron didn't just do that. They cloned to himself so that not only would he make himself harder to kill, but say like the enemy kills a fake Sauron, believing it to be the real one. They start celebrating, only for the real one to show up and basically do the bad guy in Lord of the Rings equivalent of fooled you and then kill them all.
Unfortunately, again, Waves, in terms of power scaling and everything, Sauron is a bit above, the League, but doesn't have that kind of power. Doing the Silmarillion, apparently he had the power to transform into a creature if he wanted, but that wasn't particularly effective against Beren and Luthien, but that's a long story for another time.
God, I can imagine. Yeah, that's like, of all the things to make a sequel to that would get people really, really mad, among them were probably them trying to continue Lord of the Rings after Sauron's death. It turns out Sauron had a
Somehow Sauron has returned.
yeah, or even more lame and cliche. He had a sibling or a cousin, or he was married and they were angry and
By
they
the
wanted
time we're
revenge.
recording this, there's that Moria game, which they did mention that it is set after the events of, Return of the King. So they're actually doing something about it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, dude. What you mentioned is actually pretty much the kind of plot you see in like a direct-to-video sequel or one of those knockoff sequels that, shoot, I forget the name of that company. The one that essentially made unofficial sequels to some of Disney's Golden Age films. Like, first one was Snow White, second one was to Pinocchio.
Good times.
Yeah, that was them too.
That's where I got. Got the inspiration from.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't Filmation? I think who did that.
I think that may have been Filmation.
Filmation made a different take on the story.
That made sure.
I'm thinking of their Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night movie.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yes. Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night. That was made as an unofficial sequel to Disney's Pinocchio. And then there was Happily Ever After, or Snow White: The Adventure Continues, which was made to be pretty much made to be the direct sequel to Snow White. Let's see. Filmation Associates. So yeah, Filmation were the ones behind those two movies. If I recall correctly, those two movies were part of what would lead Disney to sue them, and I think eventually put them out of business, if I recall correctly.
Well, considering how bad Emperor of the Night was, I'm not exactly going to cry a river over it.
I think it's a bit more fascinating compared to some of the other Pinocchio adaptations we've seen.
Sure.
It is.
But it doesn't really raise the bar that much.
Like, okay, I gotta give Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night credit. Making Pinocchio like the linchpin in the epic struggle between God and the devil, that is certainly something I did not see coming. I'll give him credit.
My problem is that, it's a sequel, but it just rehashes the same plot beats from the original story anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's the point.
And since I lost my second chances, this guy strangles me to death.
And... oh, what's he about to do? Oh!
I want to hear you beg me for mercy first.
Can't do that! I'm dead!
There's also this rare factor that sometimes, not much because, obviously we had to record those guys, sometimes the orcs captains were addressed either by themselves or to each other by the names that they have.
Scoff the Fool killed you.
Like, killed
And
by
became
one of those,
epic.
and the guy still survived. Fuck.
You and your friends are dead. Game over.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
So, Pedro, I'm guessing you more so preferred Happily Ever After as opposed to Emperor of the Night.
I mean, if you really have to choose, huh?
Not particularly. That movie's... well, Carol Channing is in it, so that's something, I guess.
Look. Not just Carol Channing. They got Tracy Ullman, Dom DeLuise, Malcolm frickin' McDowell, Irene Carrer, and Ed Asner. and Zaza Gabor.
Jova, here's the thing. Like, Malcolm McDowell was in. Okay, if I remember correctly, he was in
Yes, he was in Milk Money.
Yeah, he was in Milk Money, so it's not like Malcolm McDowell exactly has a good career choices to begin with.
Well,
So-
my
I
point.
remember him being in another bad movie, but I can't remember which.
Oh yeah, he was in Home Alone
Also-
5. But to be fair though, my point is like a lot of these names are like heavy hitters, not ones you would see on a bootleg sequel often.
My guess is he had some, again, the usual joke I do, like where he was
Gambling debts.
full of gambling debts and he had to just get anything.
That is a possibility. Like from what I understand, Nick Cage was at some point of that and
Yeah.
not too
Let me just
long
put it
ago.
When it comes to Emperor of the Night, let me just put it this way. For as flawed as the execution is, I will argue Disney's Geppetto had a more interesting idea of what to do, like in terms
Agreed.
of,
Yeah.
Geppetto's arc, giving Geppetto a character arc of learning how to become a good father, which is something that I don't think any other adaptation ever touched upon.
Yeah, you know what? I can
Not
agree
that I
with you.
remember. Like at best, okay. Some of them do try to do some different things. I think the one that you showed me where Geppetto was by Jim Cummings, I think does something slightly different. And then there's Pinocchio 3000, which is also equally fascinating. Although
Oh,
Expect this end, but it's often the unexpected that kills you. Don't expect to see me again.
don't worry. Finally, with this, I can finally kill him for good.
So ironically, his speech is poignant. Don't expect to see you again? Yep, we won't. We'll see you in a bit or two.
Again, Pinocchio 3000 is another equally fascinating adaptation, even in its badness, because it tries to be an original story, but at the same time it tries to have pieces, events and reference, and characters that are clear reference to what the original story is. But so it tells you that the makers of that movie read the original story, were fascinated by it, and said, let's try to mix and match things up in a more futuristic Astro Boy-esque context.
It mixes literal technology with literal
Interesting.
magic.
It's still bad, though, mind you.
The interesting thing is that the more recent mainstream adaptation, Guillermo del Toro's movie, also takes cues from Astro Boy by also giving Geppetto a young boy and who dies, and that's the reason why he makes Pinocchio.
There
We have
was
finally
an
come full circle.
there was another version of Pinocchio. This one starring the kid who played the kid Simba, Jonathan Taylor Johnson. Oh God, what is his name? Let me check.
And interesting. And speaking of that, like at the time of this recording, mind you, Pinocchio and the Water of Life
Yeah.
is still nowhere to be seen.
Oh my God, what happened to that movie?
I
Again,
have no fucking clue.
Well, again, it was another Russian production. Something tells me that current events have probably, halted development or something.
Although,
I get that.
although
Which begs
to
the question: are we ever going to see that thing?
The better question is, should we eventually get to see it?
I think the thing to remember though is like, well, the delays started even before certain current events. So, like,
Yeah.
what was even going on with that movie? Like,
We
was that?
probably might not know.
No,
And-
like most likely, Joe, it really is just that. Because of the current events, the movie is just put on limbo. Not so much because the filmmakers had issues, I think. Probably. I mean,
Anyway, so the actor I was thinking of was Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and he starred in the 1996 The Adventures of Pinocchio film from New Line Cinema. That one actually does focus a bit on Geppetto's arc, even gives Geppetto a love
I
and
saw that one.
it even gives Geppetto a love interest and whatnot.
It's
Which,
like, what's it
Teo,
called?
the Pinocchio well is never ending.
It's like poison ivy. The more you try to remove it, the more it grows on your furniture and your houses.
you know, again, if you want to find someone to blame Disney. Like, look, I'm willing to bet if Disney hadn't made their adaptation of Pinocchio may not have become such a a money pot.
To be fair, even before the Disney movie, there were already a good amount of adaptations. So
You have to understand
I'm not entirely certain that that would be the case.
Yeah,
Yes,
you also have to understand, Jova, the timing it was made. We take for granted more of the things that, a lot of adaptations just happened because, people were nostalgic for it. But a lot of them do happen relatively close to the release of the original source material. So it's more of a case of a company potentially smelling a good profit and trying to do something. Mind you, in the case of Disney, it was a bit different kind of case because, animation done for feature-length movie was really literally a new thing that was happening around the time. So it was not a guaranteed. But around that time, the original book had not been released for that kind of long, a couple of decades tops, I'm more interested by the fact that you managed to get into circulation in, in English markets, because normally that's not something that happens.
Let me put it this way, Joe. It probably made the story popular in America. I will give you that. Europe, on the other hand, no. It was already a big thing in Europe before the Disney movie.
Oh, yes.
I can tell you that there are, not necessarily much better. It's more of a case of there's a variety of different kind of stories that could be interesting to adapt. Even something as technically biased, like Dante's Divine Comedy, potentially.
It's like I've told you too. It's like Game Freak and Pokemon. Yes, there are other things they could be doing, but Pokemon is where all the money is. Whereas for you little guys, yes, there are adaptations you guys could export, but let's face it, the money is in Pinocchio.
And hey, we've always...
Recently there has been an animated movie based on Italo Calvino book that actually has an English dub, but I haven't seen it yet, so I might actually check that one out and see, and report to you if it's actually worth checking it out.
So would you consider Devil May Cry sort of an adaptation of Dante's Inferno?
More about, what's the term? Not because I don't want to sound critical, because I'm not. I actually still like it, but... No, well, yeah, a homage. Let's go with that. The elements are clearly there, but it's done more as a love letter.
While we're on the subject, like you want a really interesting piece of media inspired by Pinocchio. Me and my wife right now are playing through Lies of P.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning
what
to.
What does the P stand for?
Pinocchio. Well, okay, I'll admit, I wasn't quite able to tell entirely what that game was about. It looks awesome.
I was planning on recording or live streaming the demo, but it turns out the demo was quite generous in what they showed of the game, so I was like, no, this might take a while.
Wait, is it like, did they spoil...
It encompass... Not spoiler, but it goes on for a very long while. Again, like 3 or 4 levels in total. So yeah. I was actually surprised of how actually generous they were. Anyway, to sum up briefly what has happened so far, in case someone has noticed, I got my revenge on the guy that strangled me. I was contemplating to recruit him, but I killed him. And I recruited a bunch of Olog-Ais to get some kaiju-esque fights, basically.
One of these guys looks like he's cosplaying as World War Hulk.
I can tell you without spoiler, Jova, Lies of P wants to have a bigger scope than just being a simple adaptation of Pinocchio, but I will have to leave it at that because saying more will be still spoilery.
It has characters from Pinocchio, but the story that's actually being told is radically different. Like, basically, Jova, think of it like this. Remember the second Renaissance from the Animatrix?
Yes.
It's a lot like that, actually. The puppets are basically revolting against the humans.
Like he said, because that is also similar. It's all tracing back to the original story of iRobot. Mankind creates automatons. The automatons eventually, for one reason or another, gain consciousness. Humanity, because of a combination of paranoia, involuntary racism, potentially, but in this case, technophobia, or just because they don't know better, they become actually violent against their creations, and as a result, it causes, a revolution, which most of the time ends with the machines winning.
Yeah. And the only thing that I kind of wish they implemented was his nose growing when we lie. That would have been a nice touch. But
lies are technically a component of the story, but no, there's no. The only thing you get, Jova, is the loading screen. The loading screen is about Pinocchio's nose growing.
It says no lying as well.
And not just that, because of the PS5 better performance, you will barely notice that.
Well, actually, too, I'm playing for the PS5 version. The loading times are still there long enough for you to notice. You can tell that the game wasn't particularly optimized for the PS5 specifically.
Fair enough. I've been told that the PC version is actually probably the better one. The studio that made it is South Korean. The only thing that I noticed playing through the demo that I did ask on their Steam, discussion for feedback, but I fortunately don't think they actually, fix that, is to put different size for the subtitles, because as a state that they are criminally, small.
Yeah.
I was going to.
Because, there's go on.
I was gonna ask. So to summarize, would you call Liza P like the Pinocchio equivalent to American McGee's Alice?
I guess, to a bit.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, those are two completely different genres that they tackle. American McGee, if you don't remember, was an employee at id Software, and such work for shooters.
Sure. As for gameplay, it's basically Pinocchio born. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's what I mean about it being the equivalent to like American McGee's House, like a much darker and expanded take on the lore of the fairy tale.
While there are some aspects of the lore, and again the characters are in there, the actual story that's being told is radically different. So it's more inspired rather than adaptation.
It's a bit more similar in approach to how, for example, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen will implement its characters and elements from the stories that they take. It's more of a case that these characters live in a setting, but the setting might not necessarily be the same as the one of their original stories. Also, I can tell you this from my experience with the demo, out of all of the Soulsborne clones, it's probably the one that actually manages to get mostly right in terms of, pacing, control, and satisfaction. Because similarly, a couple of months ago, I actually tried instead Mortal Shells, and what I understand it was from an indie, team with a smaller budget and everything. I really did not had as much fun as I thought I would have in terms of, it's constructed. And the less being said about also the Fallen, the better.
One thing that's starting to become kind of an issue is that while we still get some good ones like Liza P, it's starting to become a problem where there's a lot of developers, specifically in the developers, are trying to make their own Soulsborne games, and they bit off more than they can chew in a lot of ways.
To make it the Dark Souls of insert X.
Yeah.
If you want to have a field of reference to what's being done around the matter and the quality of it, what I would recommend in terms of channel is a guy called Iron Pineapple. Regularly, he does a bunch of Steam cleanup in terms of checking out early accesses and similar stuff, and he can give a good opinion since he's a bit of an expert on the matter. And one of the games that he covered, Jova, is one that you do have on your wish list because it was spotlighted this summer, called Engard, because it offers the Souls-like experience, but it does actually something more, Pedro, in a sense of trying to be a proper simulator of the classic Arrow Flame type of pirate experience. So something like, say, it's not just a matter of the Souls-like combat, you can literally use the entirety of your environment. There's a table, kick it to the enemy, stuff like that. Use a chandelier to jump on them or something. It's very creative and also very colorful.
I wouldn't even mind all these Soulsborne clones so much if they, at the very least, didn't take to wear their inspiration way too much on their sleeve. Because like even Lies of P, for as great as that game is, I kind of wish that game would have its own take on how to tell its story rather than once again do exactly what From Software does: use the lore, catch all the collectibles, read the stuff. Like wouldn't it be cool for like a Soulsborne game to have a more cinematic storytelling for a change, or even better, also change the tone somewhat, because all of these Soulsborne also try to emulate the exact same type of atmosphere and tone that From Software's games do, instead of trying to do something different. Like a lot of Soulsborne game with a comedic tone for a change. Like my main issue with all of these clones is that they don't even try to put their spin on the genre. As a result, a lot of the genre just feels like it's just like full of games that just super derived from Software's.
Again, Pedro, I would probably recommend to you in that case On Guard, because again, being an homage to those kind of pirate stories and everything, also carries out that more, lighter tone in it.
Oh, did you get On Guard too?
My PC can easily not run it, and so far it's an exclusive to that. And if I had to guess, it probably will remain an exclusive for a while and get on PS5 and Xbox One, Xbox Series. So I will probably just wait until I upgrade it myself.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, it is definitely a game I got on my wish list.
For the time being, only on PC, yes.
Yeah. I'm thinking about potentially recording that for the channel in the future.
Sure. I don't know if it's still in early access now or not, but I think the build that they showcased it was still relatively competent.
Oh yeah.
That,
Again, like, you know, it's an indie title, but this looks like an indie title that's good.
we kind of missed it because it was presented in one of the conferences during Summer Game Fest, but we skipped. So there is that.
It's...
Alright, time to get my revenge instead on the red. And I recruited him, why not? He will still remain red though.
Well, red is the best color.
Well, you have to remember, the captains that I recruit, the soldiers that I recruit tend to become blue. Alright, now it's finally time to conquer the fortress, and I wanted to do some mix and match up. The overlord is there. I forgot if I actually infiltrated people or not as spies, but there are 3 warships under his control and 1 under mine that I did infiltrated. Push cream to the guy with the cobwebs on him. So again, to offer a bit more of a ride experience during the siege. And yes, of course I'm bringing the tattoo guy on the front line. Yes, Pedro?
I just checked the Steam page. It seems like my computer should be able to handle this game. So I might
You talk about On Guard?
I think there is a demo that you can try if you're not sure about buying it or, you know, getting it via other means.
I think... did I download the demo too? Yes, I did. Yes, I did get the demo. I did.
So at the very least, there should be a way to actually check if it's your cup of tea or not.
So, prepping for the big invasion, Tio?
Well, yeah, finally, after basically an hour and 40 minutes of having to recruit, you know, people left and right, it's finally time we recruit this. In the main vanilla game, this will be technically the last region that you can conquer, but thanks to the DLCs, there have been added an extra one, which we will see at a later point.
Do those DLCs add story content or mainly just more dialogue from the
No,
orcs?
technically the story content, like the one that we've seen over the Desolation of Mordor, but the developers were generous enough to make sure that, you know, since you're visiting a new location, that location is also visitable during the main campaign as a bonus thing that has no relevance to the plot.
Oh, I get it. So, like that desert area that we did with the other guy...
we will actually get to that at some point, but right as we enter it, you know, Celebrimbor will literally tell us, you can conquer the fortress if you want, but it's not needed.
The Conqueror, aren't you, Tark? Gorgoroth flies your banner. Well, we're not impressed. We are the masters of pain and
Hard to
torment,
please.
fear and despair.
Oh, we just have to show Senpai that we're worthy of it, babes.
But it will not save you.
What senpai? He's a dick.
This fool is about to get a final lesson in siege tactics. 2 things he likes to do to his enemies. Torture them and give them a big speech. If I had to choose, I'd take the torture.
Your honesty is appreciated.
Get ready.
What he said!
Elvish.
For Frodo. Oh wait, no.
Not yet.
Again, to give him credit, I do like how... Okay, it's obviously not to the scale of the battles from the movie
They
trilogy,
make sure
but
to give you enough hype, definitely.
yeah, like, and they definitely do give you a good surge of power and feel with you having an army at your disposal as they rush past you, pretty much barreling down the fort.
Well, it definitely does it better than Rise of Rome, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rise of Rome.
Now that I really think about it, I kind of really wish that Rise of Rome had this kind of, you know, mechanic, the idea that you lay down siege with your troops. The Total War games kind of, sort of have something similar going on, and there are a couple that are centered around Rome, so you can get maybe an experience like that on those, but something more personal, I guess, because those are technically RTS at the end of the day.
My particular theory is that Rise of Rome was hampered by the fact that it was originally supposed to be a Kinect game, so they couldn't have as complex mechanics as you would normally expect. And, you know, hence, by the time when it was released, even though it wasn't a Kinect exclusive, they didn't have enough time to, like, retool stuff to make it more complex and fun than it could have been, so... It was what it was! A disappointment.
In the meantime, no, till I check the Steam page, there's no demo here.
Oh, maybe it was a temporary thing or given to influencers. I'll give you a link later to a video of the demonstration.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm checking some bits here in the Steam trailer right here.
Okay.
Okay, everything's, yeah, I do like this, definitely. I like how it's more colorful in art style.
And again, even the tone is more lighter. Your protagonist is literally that kind of Errol-Flynn archetype that jokes around, you know, and dastardly defeats the guards like that.
Yeah. Ironically, it seems...
Like I said, I actually want to see more of this, because I'm getting a bit tired of every Soulsborne looking just like Bloodborne. So...
Yeah.
No, I get it.
It's about suffering from success wouldn't be the best term, but it is an annoying thing that happens when it's
following the leader to a fault.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, it's not even always the leader's fault, although sometimes when even the leader tries to chase their own success, that can lead to some silly results. And, like,
technically, because when you really frank to everything, Elden Ring is technically more lighter than
Elden Ring
entries.
And not to mention, Elden Ring is significant changes up thanks to the open world structure anyway, so it's definitely it still has the same type of Soulsborne type combat, of course, but...
Like, the dealio is, logistically, I get it. You know, this is in and hot. You want to get on that train. And to be fair, we've seen a lot of cases where people inspired by a certain direction do sometimes even improve on the product here and there. But the problem is when companies become convinced that, no, this is the only way to succeed, screw everything else we were doing, we're doing
this. That's how Hollywood killed Hendra Animation. Oh, Pixar is doing so much money. Clearly, the key to good money in animation is to just make everything into 3D.
It's the same problem that happened between the SNES and the Nintendo 64 with the mascot platformer formula, and during the Xbox 360 and PS3 with the shooter genre. It seems, I guess, once again that is proven right, and time really is a flat circle.
I can't think of what's... Oh, right, there was that time when Battle Royales were the overflowing thing in games.
Not for too much, well, just for a very small time. That has been basically coalesced into being essentially Fortnite at the top and PUBG still at the second spot, but still without, you know, much more inferior player base.
Yeah, it's the same. Well, no, this is technically it's still going on with everybody trying to create their Fortnite killer, even though that's never going to happen.
Oh, remember, this guy
he's on our
acted as my
side.
agent, so he allows me to... at the beginning of a siege, some of the walls crumbled thanks to his sabotage, and now he basically compliments that for it.
Boy, how funny would it be if one of your own actually tries to betray you right as you're taking the throne?
I think it might happen, but I never managed to trigger it myself. So. Alright, I think there's only one last point to capture, and then I can confront the Overlord.
There's actually something equivalent that I've talked to before, including with Edgy, where, you know, regarding Puss in Boots 2 and TMNT Mutant Mayhem, where they also once again replicate the animation from the Spider-Verse films. Right, where I'm starting to get a bit. I'm already starting to see. Okay, this is going to be the new thing now. Every animated movie is going to try to do this animation style because they want their Spider-Verse success.
Okay, to give credit,
Mutant Mayhem wasn't even all that great.
Okay, to give credit where credit is due, Puss in Boots didn't entirely do that art style. It had it in segments where we had the more traditional DreamWorks art style. I think they mainly went with, like, the frame rate art style for, like, the battle scenes and to stylize it.
I think also another thing to consider is the fact that until that point, let's face it, the Shrek movies had the human characters looking very, very ugly. So changing to that actually was probably received for the better because it felt like a better change of pace.
You've made it all the way here. Only to
The
discover
poker?
you're outclassed.
That's our
Yes.
big bad, the
You don't stand a
poker.
chance against me.
I'll be happy to prove you wrong.
Again,
Well, you
don't
do think a
underestimate
poker's
it
to
because
be-
I
I've
don't
heard-
want to do
To be
that.
fair, I've heard of sillier names.
You know what? You know what? Maybe, and you know what? Leo does have a point. Like,
And his poking weapons are also cursed, so yeah. Be
Oh.
careful who you bully in high school.
you know,
Um,
honestly, maybe his name is just a ploy to get people to underestimate him. If I recall
Will be
correctly,
defeated today by
By
Nemesis.
I think that.
Taserface.
If I recall correctly, I think that was actually one of the rules on the evil overlord list to use funny names, monikers to get your enemies to underestimate
Also,
you.
Joe, you watched the Venture Bros. There's an entire set of dichotomy amongst the villains about something like that.
That is true. That is true. God, I love how Venture Bros pretty much evolved from just being a Johnny Quest parody to essentially being arguably one of the most well-structured looks at how a superhero and supervillain community would work to maintain the peace while essentially doing business.
See there? No, let me just put it in the simplest way I can. First off, for the record, I love Puss in Boots 2. It's a fantastic movie. It's not. Don't mistake me saying this with me saying that I don't like that movie. I love that movie. That being said, the Shrek franchise has always had a consistent look, including the original Puss in Boots. I don't feel that I fail to see the need to now all of a sudden change it, because I personally don't, especially because when you look at the humans in Puss in Boots 2, I actually disagree with that. They still look the same design, especially the villain. Not the wolf, the other villain.
No, I
The
get
human
it.
villain.
Human. I'm talking specifically about human characters. I argue the human characters in the Shrek franchise, including the first Puss in Boots, always had that kind of uncanny valley effect that DreamWorks loved to have in terms of the characters resembling the actors' faces, and again, early movies and everything, they have to look basically ugly as shit. So thankfully for the Last Wish, they bother to not necessarily do that.
I will say.
For the record,
Sorry, go on.
for the record, okay, let me put it this way. My problem with, TMNT is fine, it's just that my problem with that movie is that it doesn't even have any reason to be a TMNT movie. The characters are not in character. I'm pretty sure even Teo knows who are the primary personalities of the four main characters, right?
Okay.
But all four of them are written like as if they're Mikey.
I cannot tell you who. I forgot his name. I think it's Donatello.
It's in the song Tale. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines, Raphael is cool but rude, Michelangelo is a party dude.
Yeah, again, the only one that I don't remember sticking what his personality might be is the one with the red coloring.
Yeah, Raphael.
Yeah, Raphael.
In the 80s cartoon, he's the sarcastic one. Everywhere else, he's the edgy, hot-headed guy.
Okay, then. Unfortunately, I exhausted all of my second chances, meaning the Overlord
no.
killed me.
Armies will march to the south.
Well,
Like you said in the previously, don't worry. The game is generous enough to not forcing you to do the siege from the beginning entirely. You just keep directly to fighting again the Overlord. But if I recall correctly, this time I got a bit more prepared. Just a bit. I just had, I don't know, 4 spies infiltrated this time.
oh,
See the thing? Yeah.
You failed before and yet you return. Oh, you're a slow learner.
See the
gladly teach you
the thing with
another
that is that it doesn't even feel like that movie was original. That script was originally conceived as a TMNT script, because not only are barely any elements from the TMNT lore, the characters, like I said, are all out of character. It's just like.
Well,
Mikey.
Except for Mikey, I guess. But
That she hasn't told me that much, but the thing that I apparently I've heard, because I don't have that many people that I know that actually watch the TMNT, is that at the very least they bother to have a different kind of main villain instead of rehashing the Shredder for the nth time.
I will say,
That is
like,
true. That is true, but like I will argue it doesn't make up
Not
for the
really
fact that
worth it.
all the
Okay.
four again, if you can't get the 4 turtles right, what's even the point? in
I
my
will
opinion?
say, like, honestly, the whole gimmick from the movie I got is, oh, and you know, everyone's talking about, oh, now they actually sound like they're kids, and I'm like, yeah, but aren't they a bit? Yeah, they sound a bit young to be teenagers.
And again, in Europe, that is completely moot anyway, because in most of our countries, we excise the teenage and mutant on the title. So,
And once again, sorry, finish.
yeah, go on, I'm done. Go on.
And once again, I have to ask, why do writers insist on having one of the turtles have a crush on a?
Oh.
Why?
I don't even
That's
remember
been
if the
thing since
comics
like the
did that or
2012.
not.
Yeah, I know, right?
The 2012
I know.
show.
Yeah, that's the 2012 show at Donatello. The Michael Bay movies at Mikey do it. Now it's Leo in Mutant Mayhem. Did Rice? I don't remember if Rice did it. I'll have to take a look if Rice did it.
I don't-
Did the 2007 movie did it?
No.
Fortunately not. No.
Okay.
That's like one of-
Okay, like, to be fair, the whole Turtles having... Okay, yes, the Turtles had crushes before, but it was never something we were supposed to take too seriously. Like, and the most romance we got in the 2003 one, that was between Casey and April. But it was with the 2012 show
There you go.
when suddenly these shows were heavily focused on giving the Turtles a love interest. In fact, if I recall correctly, everyone got a love interest in the 2012 show. But yeah,
Thanks to one of my captains when I infiltrated, I finally managed to defeat the Overlord, so there you go.
you pretty much
It's
pulverized that
It's worth
Overlord.
noting that if you decapitate the Overlord, manage to finish the enemy in order with decapitation, Talion will actually drag his head and just toss it.
Yes, of course, metal is all hell.
Aye, sir! Didn't you die a bit ago?
I got that.
We stand at the very edge of history. Only one conquest remains.
Yes! This will be recorded in the records of history! That's why we were never mentioned in the original trilogy!
Hooray.
All right.
And
You have to remember
and
that this
and
is
then
like
that-
still
and
60
then all that,
years before the events of the
And then,
World of the Ring.
and then all that is just Sauron kicked the asses of this group and just had them all erased from history.
Again,
The end.
we're not that far from the end, so you will see how things are put
That is honest.
into place.
That is always just going to be a funny thing you get when you're writing prequels or midquels, like when you have this big event that actually the characters never really talked about, so wasn't
Roger
really
van
that
der
big.
Dai, I remember this, Roger van der Dai parodied deliberately this with his summary of Crisis Core, where I think it's either, Director Lazarus that says, oh, don't worry, I'm actually contracted, sorry I'm not in the sequel virus or something.
It's also that and me and Jova noted something when we were doing Life is Strange Before the Storm on how Chloe, according to that prequel, has the ability to quote unquote manipulate people into spilling the beans for her, even though that ability would have been very useful in the original game, and yet she never does any of this shit. So
Damn.
Prequel nerfing or buffing.
Alright then, tune in for the next part with Reprise instead. I think the main quest, I forgot exactly what we're gonna do if we continue with the Nazguls or start with the Brood one. See you for that.
Alright,
ya.
see ya.